Hi guys, Cisca Stitches is back with another tutorial, and this is on how to draft a 360 and 720 degree flare or peplum. This particular pattern is super easy. There are some formulas, calculations that you actually need to do to actually get this pattern. Like I said, it is super easy to draft, to understand and draft. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, please don't forget to click the subscribe button and also click the notification bell so that you get notified whenever Cisca Stitches posts new videos. So let's get right into the tutorial.
I have the paper I'll be using to make the pattern, tape rule, and my straight ruler. So what I'm going to do is fold that paper into two first, then I'm going to fold it again into two again, so that's folding into four, and we are starting with the 360 degree flare or peplum. So once this is done, we are going to go straight into the calculation. So my waist is 28, circumference, the formula for calculating circumference is 2 pi r. So the waist is a round, which is my circumference. Now what we need to do is to get the radius so that we can actually do this on the pattern paper. So now, since we don't know the radius, we have our circumference, we know the value for pi, we'll just go ahead and calculate for the radius. And what I'm going to do to get that is to divide both sides by 2 pi so that 2 pi can cancel out where the radius is and the radius can stand alone. So my radius is now going to be equal to circumference over 2 pi, and then which is 28 over 2 times 3.14, because pi, the value of pi is 3.14. So that's what we're going to do there, and then whatever we get, that is going to be our radius. I hope we understand this calculation process. So I got 4.456. So you can go ahead to approximate to 4.5, which you are going to end up with some allowances at the end of the day. So what I'm going to do is, instead of marking 4.5, I went with 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch less. Yes. So I went with 1/8 of an inch less than 4.5. So I'm going to mark that all around, starting from this pointed, the folded part. That's where you're going to start from. You're not going to start from the open end of the pattern. So like I said, 1/8 of an inch less than 4.5 inches. So I'm going to mark that all around, ensuring that the tape rule is at the edge right there, as you can see. So once I've done enough markings to be able to smoothly form the quadrant of a circle, then I'm just going to join the points with my pen. If you have a curved ruler, you can go ahead and do that, but this is much more easier for me. So now after joining the point, I'm going to go ahead and, measure it so that we'll see if we're getting our waist measurement divided by 4. So that is very important, plus allowance. So when I measure, as you can see, I have about 7.25 inches. So that's 0.25 inches, because our pattern is folded into 4. If you multiply 0.25 inches by 4, you'll be getting 1 inch. So that may be enough allowance for someone. But if that is not enough, you can add your allowance to your waist measurement before you do all this calculation. And I'm going to suggest that you go at least with 1/2 inch or 0.25 inches, because if you go with 1 inch, you're going to have a lot of allowances at the end of the day. Once you do the pattern, once you calculate your radius and you draft it on the pattern paper, so you can go with 1/2 inch, you can go with 0.25 inches. So that is it for the calculation. Once you do this, once you've gotten this, now you've done the pattern on your pattern paper, you've calculated it on your pattern paper, we're going to go ahead and measure the length of the peplum. I went with 7 inches in total. 6 inches, assuming 6 inches is the length, and then 1 inch for joining both sides at the bottom and at the top. If you are going to be adding your lining at the bottom, 0.5 inches to hem it, at the top if you're going to be adding a band or you'll be attaching the peplum to a fabric. So 6 inches for the length of the peplum, and then 1 inch for the allowances at both top and bottom. So I'm going to go with 7 inches. I'm going to mark that right there. So from that point where the quadrant that forms the quadrant of a circle, I'm just going to measure 7 inches all around. Very, very important. Ensure that it is as equal as possible so you get a very, okay pattern. So once I'm done marking the point, I'm going to use my pen again like I did earlier and join the points. So once we have this ready now, it's just cutting that remains. So we're going to cut our pattern out, which is of course very, very easy. And once we cut the pattern out, I'm going to show you how this looks like. So it looks like a circle, a full circle. That is why it is called a 360-degree circle pattern or circle flare, which is used as peplum as well. So I'm going to open this up, show you how it looks. So this is a semicircle right here. I'm going to cut open one side, because if you're going to be sewing this as a fabric, you definitely need to cut open one side so that it will be easy for you to wear. Or if you're going to be attaching a zip to the flare or the peplum, you need to cut open one side, just one side. So this is how it looks. I'm going to show you how it looks on the mannequin as well. So this is the flow. Because it is a paper, that is why it is standing this way. But in order to make your peplum to stand, there are other things you can add to it when it is fabric. So for the 720-degree flare of peplum, for the peplum, we're going to be dividing our waist measurement into 2. So my waist measurement is 28 by 2, which is equals to 14. I calculate for radius, circumference over 2 pi, and I got about 2.23, which is half of what I got before, but I approximated it to 2.25. So I'm going to mark 2.25 all around. So this 2.25 that I'm marking will also give me allowance for zip. Yeah, so it's very, very okay for me, instead of adding half an inch from the beginning. So I just went with 2.25, and then I measure it. I should be having my waist measurement divided by 8, which is 3.5, because my waist measurement divided by 4 is 7. So my waist measurement divided by 8 is 3.5. But as you can see now, I have half an inch allowance because I approximated to 2.25. So I'm going to be marking the same length from this point to this point, the same way I did it for the 360-degree peplum. So I marked the same length, because as we will see, the 720-degree peplum will be much more fuller than the 360-degree peplum. So I do the same thing I did for the 360. I joined the points, I cut it open. Now remember, we divided our waist measurement into 2. So this is just the first half that we are doing. So we need to actually duplicate this pattern so that I can get my full waist measurement, because by the time I open this up and measure the waist, I'll be getting 14 plus instead of 28 plus. So like I said, I need to duplicate this pattern. So this is the first half of the full circle, which is 360-degree pattern. So what I'm going to do is double it, and that will give us our 720-degree pattern. So I've folded my pattern paper already. I'm just going to place this on top and ensure that it aligns properly, and then I cut the necessary parts that I don't need so that I can get a duplicate of the first pattern. So ensure that it aligns really, really well so that you are not having any issues with your pattern at the end of the day. So for this now, since we have 2, you have to cut open one side on both of the patterns because they need to be joined. They need to be joined. So I'm going to cut open one side of the pattern, and then I'm going to show you how both of them looks before I join them together using pins, and then I'll show you how it is on the mannequin. So this is the 2 pattern, and then I've pinned them together. This is how it looks on the mannequin. You can see that it is much more fuller. It has more flare compared to just doing the 360 pattern alone, which means that does not mean that you cannot make your 360 pattern fuller. You can do that by actually adding pleats to it. But if you don't want pleats and you want it fuller, then 720-degree pattern is great for you. If you want to make the flare much more fuller, you can actually do your 720-degree pattern 2 times. So it means your waist measurement will be divided by 4. So now I want to calculate the circumference for the bottom of the 720-degree peplum. So our radius is actually 7. I'll use the same formula. Our radius is 7 from this point to this point. So I want to get the circumference of this so that you guys can know that the 720-degree peplum has much more length compared to 360. So what I got for one side is 43.96. For one peplum is 43.96. So because it is 2 peplum, I have to multiply that by 2, and I got about 87.92. I do the same thing for the 360-degree peplum as well. Because it is 7, the same radius, what I'll be getting will be 43.96 as I got for the first part of the 720-degree peplum. So that is it, guys. You can see that the length is double. The 720 length is double the 360-degree peplum, which shows here that it's much more fuller. So thank you for watching. I'm going to see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll be seeing you. Bye.